Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting to order.
Yes.
Mr. Clerk, would you please take roll call?
Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Bill Bazzi is absent. Robert Constant.
Here.
Lisa Hicks Clayton.
Here.
Denise Malinowski Maxwell.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Tom Wenzel.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, please be seated. At this point, next item is our agenda approval.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the order of business March 12th, 2019, regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council as presented.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdallah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have approval of the minutes. This is the minutes from the regular meeting of February 26, 2019.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdallah.
I move that we approve the minutes from February 26, 2019 regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council as outlined in item 4A.
Support. Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is public hearing and comment on agenda items only. This is items on the agenda right now. We ask you state your name, address, and limit it to 2 minutes.
My name is Jack. I live on Hazelton, and I'd like to read something. It was there's a resident that has been involved with the demo houses. That's what I wanted to talk about, was the action item regarding the demo properties. She asked if I could read this for her. Her name is Carol. She lives on Powers, right near these 2 of the properties. She said, I live on Powers Avenue and I drive past both these houses almost daily. 26115 is boarded up because it has been broken into so many times and no one has lived there since our streets and basements flooded years ago. At the front of the house, the shingles are sliding off and piling up on the front porch awning. There's overgrown shrubs and weeds around the large front porch. A few months ago, scrappers, I'm guessing, tried to pull sections of the awning off on the front of the house. 26166, which is further west of this property, doesn't have a screen door, so your first glimpse might be of a rusted front door. People do not live here, and the wind has blown shingles off, leaving holes in the roof. We have 3 vacant trash houses on the street. I ask that they be demolished. They look terrible to the people that live here. They bring no value to the street. My main concern is that they are drawing crime because of being broken into. Next, they might start breaking into houses when people are sleeping and someone could get hurt. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you. Any other public hearings and comment on agenda items?
Sorry about the beeps.
We're old school today. Name and...
Hi, I'm Frank, South End Neighborhood Watch Patrol. 26115 Powers, which he followed up a little bit on it. That particular house is in very bad shape. I mean, very bad shape. That their house has, you take a house, you know, normal house, and you fill it with air, and the whole back end of the house blown out about 4 or 5 feet, about 4 feet. And everything's like falling out of the back of the house. On top of the roof, you got 3 big holes in the roof, because I check it periodically during the night. And some of the neighbors say kids are going and messing around there. In the backyard, from the back of the foundation of the house, tapers right down like that, and floods like a lake. And somebody dug a trench all the way to the back of the yard so this water would subside. It's the worst one I've seen in all the years I've been out there. And the one on 24759 Hopkins, that's 24759 Hopkins, that's been boarded up for a very, very long time. And that's another problem house. I figured it out what they were doing after a while. There's a corner house that supposedly, hearsay, has been dealing in drugs, and they're storing it in this house next door that's been boarded up forever. So I finally checked it out one day, and what they did, they onboarded the plywood, slide it to the side, and the lower part of the wood door, they got that all cut out so they can just get in like that. Then they take the plywood and put it back over the door and try to push it in. That's been an A-band house for a long time. It's amazing. Now the one that's on 26166, I was there tonight, and yeah, it's in bad need, but not as bad as these other two. I should say not as bad as 26115. That's the most horrible house I've ever seen. I mean, when you got a house with back ends, it's all gonna cave in, and these houses are so close together on both sides.
And Frank,
So that's why I'm here to let you guys know.
and you want to tell them you're with the Neighborhood Watch too, so they know who you
Yeah,
are?
South End Neighborhood Watch Patrol.
Yeah, if I might, Madam Chair, I know we don't supposed to respond, and I'm not going to respond. I think we need to thank Frank for all his effort and time. You do a great job. Thank you.
As a volunteer.
And he pays for his own gas as he does
I've
that
been
too,
doing it for
folks.
10 years.
Yeah.
I cover,
know, you're
I
the
cover from
greatest.
Inkster Road to 8 blocks east of Telegraph, from Van Born to Michigan Avenue.
Yep. Thank you.
And I cover
Thank
it.
you again for your service.
Thank you for your
I
service.
thank you.
He's the Lone Ranger.
Any other 2 minutes? Name and address.
Nancy Breyer, Colgate Street, same subject matter. I drove by all the houses as well, and like Frank, I agree, the 26115 Powers, the porch foundation is shot, the siding's coming off, the roof is deteriorated, you've got an extremely narrow driveway. I did see one good thing about the house. It had one good window awning on it, but that's the only thing that was decent in the whole place. And then I went by Hopkins this evening, 24759. That roof is also shot. Porch steps they're not attached. And there's a hole into the house at the left front siding, and the siding's being pulled off, and the porch is missing its trim. At the V there at the front underneath. There's too much involved to repair these.
I agree.
Okay.
And I'm currently the president of South Dearborn Heights Civic Association, and Frank is our good guy. And we really want to improve our part of the city, and it would be beneficial if we could just plain get rid of these 3 homes.
Thank
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Name in 2 minutes, please.
Mike Arnold Street, this is revolving around current claims 622, 625, and 626. 622 was our former vendor.
Current claim is not an agenda item.
A current claim is not an agenda item. We can't have any comment on it. I apologize.
It's an agenda item,
Claim
but
is an agenda itself.
but
I
it's
believe.
exempted from, your rules say nothing under current claims is supposed to be covered. That's what your rules
Then
are.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I apologize.
We got a clarification here, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. 622 was our former vendor. I'm going to call him vendor A. 625 and 626 is our current vendor, which currently do work for the city. This body wanted the administration to go out for bids for a new vendor because the workmanship is the same. I'm just looking at the cost. Because the council decided to change vendors, the city has now increased costs. And if vendor A would have done the work of vendor B, the city would have saved $9,635.08. And I know you guys can't answer now, but maybe during the current claim section or at the end, somebody can explain their thought process of why they decided to change vendors and increase the costs to the city. And if you don't increase revenues, it's going to put a hole in the budget. I just like some answers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment? This is on agenda items. In 2 minutes, your name and address, please.
My name is Ed Frolick. I live on Robindale Street. I came to session before, and I brought up about the lights where the golf course is, okay?
Right.
That still hasn't been taken care of. It's all dark there. Somebody's going to get hurt there, or something's going to happen out there, okay? And you people are going to be responsible because you haven't taken care of it, okay? And then there's another thing. Ray Muscat brought up one time before about the newspaper being thrown on this thing. I go right down on the streets in that. I pick up all the newspapers and all the trash, and that's baloney. That paper that they throw for advertisement, you need to stop that because people are not picking up. There's houses there that we got 5, 6 papers there.
At this point, it has to be agenda items. You can come back at the end for public comment.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Any other? Okay, at this point, let's move on. We have fund transfers and current claims.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Move to approve the current claims 6-1 through 644 as submitted.
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Wenzel.
I'd like Mr. Blackburn to come up and elaborate on what he was referring to, his costs, if possible.
What would you like to know?
Well, you said we spent more money than the other company would have
If you look
charged.
at 622, if you look at the price per foot that the old company has charged the city,
50 cents, I think.
which is 50 cents a foot for the 8-inch pipe. Now, if you look at the new vendor, they are saying 5 cents a foot. That's a 50% increase in costs just on that size pipe.
Hey, my understanding is, though, the new company we have was the lowest bid, so if the other one, Pipeline, had continued to do the service, they would have been more than the bill we have in front of us.
Yeah,
Yes, Pipeline was the lowest, was lower, but when this body decided to go out for bids, I never talked to him, but I'm going to assume that he was a little upset that he always kept our prices low, and he knew he would always be lower. He decided to raise his prices, and he ended up raising them a little too high. I don't know his reasoning for raising his prices, but his prices in the bid are higher than what he was charging us beforehand.
Understand.
Where if we would have kept him, our prices would still be those same amounts that we are getting.
No, see, we don't know that, because every year he renewed the amount, and we don't know. He was probably planning on doing the increase anyways.
I mean,
Well,
you're
just-
speculating.
Councilman
You're speculating on what he would have kept or what he wouldn't have kept. He did put a legitimate bid in.
He did.
Pipe Tech was the lowest bid. Plus, what I liked about what Pipe Tech said is instead of going and pushing a blockage downstream, they would suck it out. Now, I'm going to hold them to that, because of all the times that they kept going back and forth to the same sewer, time and time and time again. In 2 weeks' worth, sometimes they went there 3 times. That was utterly ridiculous. And that's why.
Pipe Tech will be coming back to those same sewers because they have
Well,
to be done on a
we're
regular
going to
basis.
see, and we're going to hold them to the fact of they said they were going to suck the stuff out instead of push it downstream. I'm going to hold that to them, and also them cameraing it before and after.
Yeah, time will
Gonna hold
tell
that to
what
them.
we're dealing with. We got to
Never
give it
had
time.
that
1 month's
before
not
with
enough.
the other
But
company.
right now, just looking at costs, right now on this meeting alone, it's a $9,600 increase.
But
just
sir-
on this
Right,
budget.
but with
But they were still the
Pipeline, it
lowest
would have
bid.
been more than
They were
9,600.
the lowest bidder, but if
How can you justify saying that the other company would have kept it the same when they put a legitimate bid in? They put a legitimate bid in, and Pipe Tech was lower. So what do you want me to do? We're going to go and look at all contracts. We're not just going to keep somebody because they've been here for 15 years.
what I would like to see is to have a legitimate discussion with the department head, and the former department head could have given you costs of what other cities were charging, and you could see that we were the lowest, and that it was a good idea to extend their contract at the same pricing rather than to go out for bids and have an
But
increase
it's
in
bad
price.
business to keep the same company without going out for bid.
Okay.
It's bad business.
Okay, we got
Well, it's
Councilman
bad-
Abdullah now.
It's bad business that prices went
It's
up
bad
too.
business. Plain bad business.
Mr. Blackburn, I just want to clarify, though, with the new company, we are, now, I was not one of those, video guys. I was not that much into it, honestly, but I do know, just to make it clear, that they are giving us video, whereas the first one was not doing any type of video. Isn't that correct?
Video was only done when requested.
No, I was under the understanding that Pipe Tech.
The old company.
Pipe Tech is going to
No, but the new one is going to be videotaping.
Right, pipeline.
Now, and I'm wondering, I presume you guys are the ones that are looking at it, is that correct?
I am not aware if they do or not. That might be a question for,
The director, or?
yes.
Okay.
To know which,
Can't read that.
Do you mind if we ask the director to come up?
Let's ask the director to come up.
Our new director, by the way.
Are you okay with that, sir?
You haven't met him?
John is okay.
Might as well welcome him to,
Yeah, I was going to say.
yeah.
And also, maybe if you could introduce yourself. I know you introduced yourself at a study session, but maybe for the audience.
My name is John Selmy. I'm the new Director of Public Services, Public Works. So I don't want to pass a buck or anything, but I'm going to meet with the new contractor tomorrow or Thursday to find out exactly what they agreed upon. I don't know what the contract says. I haven't seen the contract. So that being said, I'm an advocate. If you're going to clean pipe, you should assess it at the same time. So if there's a defect, we can fix it proactively, not reactively. So.
Okay, so then maybe for the next meeting, because I assume nobody from your team is here that maybe might know this answer, being that you were newer, maybe if you could have that answer for us, if you don't mind, as far as our videos being provided and who specifically is looking them over.
Right, well typically...
Because that was one of the advantages of this company.
In prior situations that I've been in, the assessment is done by either in-house or by the contractor. They are licensed or certified by a national organization. Something I was looking for, maybe going forward with this city, is getting a camera truck and our own camera, getting our own people trained so that we can do these types of operations in-house proactively also, not reactively. So
I like that.
Perfect.
But like I said, I'm going to meet with him hopefully tomorrow or Friday, Wednesday or Thursday, and then I can have something for you.
Then if you don't mind, maybe the next council meeting, if you could give us some sort of a briefing of, after the meeting and the results.
I'll give you what my understanding of the contract was, and in all fairness, I don't know, what was stated at the meetings or anything like that, so
Sure.
I don't want to speak out of school.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Director,
Thank you. I'm sorry.
could you spell your name for the record, please?
SELMI.
Thanks.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to add, the conversation about low bids, which is by procedure who we accept or the administration should recommend, and did so. But we need to remind ourselves, good business practice and good practice for municipal government, and it is in our charter, is the 3 bids. Right?
Correct.
To go out for bids. And this is what transpired. And I think you're comparing, all due respect, apples to oranges, especially when the one is offering more service, like the videoing, the cameraing, and sucking it out versus blowing it down, which can be problematic on down the line, of course. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank
Council
you.
Chair, one more item.
All right, last one.
It was also recommended to us by the DPW director, Bill Zimmer, to go with Pipe Tech. He did recommend us going with them, so I just want to make that clear on the request to authorize us to go with Pipe Tech. He recommended Pipe Tech.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other comments on agenda items? Or current claims, I'm sorry.
If I may, just to clarify what Councilwoman Hicks Clayton said, actually for services, there is not a requirement in the charter. I just want to make sure that there is not a requirement to end up going out for bid. The city may do so if it wants to, but it has no requirement to do so.
Okay, any other?
Council Chair? I have item 617. It's Johnson Control. On the second page, replace control zone sensor update, tritium points and graphics. I just don't know where it's at. It doesn't tell me where they did the work at. The other pages, it looked like they gave us Richard Young and City Hall, parts only, but on this 2854, it doesn't tell us where the work was done. And that was Mr. Blackburn.
Yeah, John's brand new. I don't know they would know all that. Is Mr. Blackburn still here?
Yeah, he's still.
Oh, there you are.
He should be up to speed.
Although it says service site, Berwyn Senior Center.
Where does it, on this page here? Well then,
Which one?
Service site, City of Dearborn Heights.
Is
Where
that
does it
the 285407?
617, item 617.
say? Invoice number, last three are 513. It's the second
Yes.
page.
Yes, it says replace VAV 27 control sensor point. VAV 27, we had a couple VAVs that had to be rebuilt because the age of them.
I just want to know where it was done at.
VAV 27, I believe, was in the copy room of the clerk's office.
Okay, it didn't tell me where the work was being performed
Yeah,
at.
the VAVs are labeled by number, so when
Yes.
they replace them, they're VAV 1 through 27.
Okay.
I have another one. If you
Go ahead,
had a-
Councilman Muscat.
633, it's the Justice Center bond interest payment. Question, I mean, the Justice Center was built by Tifa, and should come out of Tifa instead of building fund, or how does that work?
Hey, Mr. Treasurer.
When the construction of the building was put as part of the analysis, the judges at the time added a $10 per ticket fee that went towards the bond. So that's in the bond documents when we went out for the bonding to build the construction. And that was all part of the bidding.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
I have two more, if you don't mind, please.
Does it relates to that or something
No,
else?
something else, I believe. Okay. The Old Orchard Pond restoration, I see we're another $6,107.
What item number is that?
That's 638.
Thank you.
When is this going to get paid off? When are we going to be done with this? I thought we were all done, paying out. We've got the money set aside. They need to get going with the restoration. How much more do we owe on this? I mean, we keep paying out, but I need to know a number of when we're going to be done paying this.
Well, the work has not been done. In fact, we're meeting Wednesday, and, but I'll let Mr. Brooks talk about it.
Well, bids were received in end of February, so we're meeting with administration tomorrow to go forward. We have to go through a special assessment process, and after that, then award the project. So construction will occur probably early summer.
I asked a question before, and so please help me out here, that we set aside X amount of dollars out of the water fund for the restoration. Then we set aside money for your engineering.
Correct.
Now, this $6,000 is coming out of that pool of money for your engineering.
Correct.
And we haven't sufficient, we're not going to go over that budget at all.
No, well, the bids came in higher, but the way it's going to work is the homeowners have to pick up every dollar after $250,000.
Yeah, we're capped.
Well, but I'm just talking about the budget set aside for Wade Trim. That didn't come out of the 250, did it?
No.
So that's what I'm concerned about.
We got
is that
250 for the construction, and our engineering budget was 50, and we're like 46,000, so we'll be fine.
Okay, so we've already spent 46,000, you say?
Of the 50, correct.
Of the 50, including this 6,000, 40.
Correct.
So we got another 4,000 to spend.
That's correct.
If needed. Okay.
Thank you.
And then one more here on 639. We have a construction on West Warren at 23900 West Warren for some engineering service. Isn't that private property?
That's for the public water main portion.
But it's on private property, right?
No, it's public water main. It's, we have a fire suppression line and a hydrant to put in.
On a city property?
City side.
Because you gave me an address, I thought it blinked that it was a private property, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Okay. At this point, we have fund transfers and current claims. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have consideration of bids. Community and Economic Development Director Hashem, return of bid bonds for the CDBG FY 2015 Good Neighbor Program for 26115 Powers, 26166 Powers, and 24759 Hopkins.
Madam Chair.
Councilman.
Council Chair.
Muscat?
I know this is a delicate situation here, and I'm not sure if how to approach this, but I know that the motion would be to approve this or disapprove this, but I'd like to make a motion that we just go ahead and concur with Director Hashem on his original motion to knock these homes down. We've had people come up here and tell us how bad they are. I know I don't want to live next door to them. I believe that everything is in proper working order at his department. He assured us it was, and if it's not, I mean, I'm sure that he'll hear about it himself through CDBG. So actually, I'm going to make a motion that we move to demolish the homes in accordance with his original motion to, I think it was previously 7A also in last month's or last meeting.
7A.
Probably?
7A.
Yeah.
February 26, 19 meeting.
And to go with that, now I don't know, maybe our corporate counsel can direct me on how to do that, if possible.
Well, we've got a motion on the floor. We have to address the motion, don't we?
Well, the motion isn't on the floor yet.
Support.
Well, my motion, that's my motion.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be the motion.
I support.
If it's
possible.
If it's possible, so that's what, I'm asking Corporation Counsel if that's legal or not.
Wasn't it tabled originally, if I recall correctly?
Twice.
And so my sense would be you would have to have a motion to return it to the table. It's still, in my view, I mean, the city clerk may look at this a little differently, and he's your official parliamentarian, but I would consider it to be a related item, an incidental motion. So my sense would be to return the particular motion that was tabled, which I believe involved both an award of the contract to a particular bidder, and then to return the bid bonds to all of the unsuccessful bidders as previously outlined.
That's correct.
Okay.
Council Chair, can we get an opinion from?
I'm asking Mr. Clerk for an opinion at this point.
This item was tabled 2 meetings ago. It was removed from the table last meeting, and upon removal, which was adopted, it was then, there was a motion made to move to a study session. And that was the last event that this was, so there's no need to remove it from the table because it was removed from the table. My sense of this is to either act on this motion, vote the motion to return the bid bonds, or not address it at all. If there's no motion and no second, there would not be anything there. And at that point, you can proceed with Councilman Muscat's.
We've got Councilman Constant second, but all right, go ahead.
So let me get a clarification. So you're saying that we should go ahead with 7A the way it is right now to return the bid bonds and then reopen it again for another motion?
Yeah, being it's an agenda item, you should do something with this motion, whether it be reject it, accept it, or not even recognize it as a motion.
Okay, so if we don't recognize it.
I'm sorry, if he reads it, sorry about that, if he reads it and nobody seconds it, then it's off the table, so then we can present the previous one from February 26th, correct?
That's correct.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
What I heard the clerk say, and I remember this, we removed it, we brought it back, right? We voted on that, and then it was referred to a study session, which has not happened. So therefore, in my mind, there was a reason why this council body wanted a study session. The question should be, have those questions been answered to the best of what council members are seeking in order to adopt this or accept this, move it with concurrence? Because I think there were some questions about the coding, maybe that was resolved.
We don't have it resolved here.
I just want to know, please.
I believe it was resolved.
I believe it was resolved.
The community development director assured us that he was right. It's on record that he said everything was fine. That removes any doubt from me that I can move forward with something that's correct. It's on record, and that's all I'm going to say.
And Madam Chair?
I would like to, Director Hashem, would this mess up your budget? Because you're returning it. I mean, you've already returned money basically in your accounting?
No, he's requesting to return.
I'm requesting to return the bonds for the bidders. That doesn't come out of it.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thanks. All right.
And also, Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd just like to clarify, one of the issues was the name, if you recall, the Good Neighbor Program, and that was totally clarified by the director that that's not the same program as to the one that was on the HUD website. Therefore, that was clarified. As a matter of fact, they've even changed the name right now, just so that there's no questions. I'm personally comfortable with rereading the original motion and tearing these houses down and getting them out of there.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Constant.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to proceed, as the clerk suggested. So we have to act on this item. We don't return the bid bonds, and then during discussion that we make a motion that, if possible, if it can be done, the original houses be demolished. We've had residents come up saying they need to be
Right, we have
demolished.
that. It's not a question about demolishing it, it's a question of the coding and the wording used in the fund that it's taken out of to demolish them. That's what we don't want to get in trouble for.
Council Chair, I'm not going to make a motion on this at all. As far as I'm concerned, it can sit here and die.
Okay.
On this particular
Okay,
one.
let me start over again. Let me read it, and I'll give you the opportunity to start from the beginning on that. We have consideration of bids for Community and Economic Development Director Hashem, return of bid bonds for the CDBG 2015 Good Neighbor Program located at 26115 Powers, 26166 Powers, and 24759 Hopkins.
Okay, so.
Do I hear any support on that?
No.
Motion failed.
Okay.
Council Chair?
Councilman?
I make a motion that we go back to the original 7A from two meetings ago, or the last meeting, and concur with Director Hashem and approving the demolition of the homes at 26115 Powers, 26166 Powers, and 24759 Hopkins, as submitted by Director Hashem.
Support.
Support by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Hashem, real quick, because for my peace of mind, I understand the coding, there was concern and question because the one that was used, what was presented to us was under rehabilitation, whereas this is demolition. Would you please provide some clarification on that item? Thank you.
Yeah, we didn't have a study session on this. We didn't. Can you repeat the question for me?
The question was about the coding for clarification, where the paperwork originally was submitted. Has that been corrected because it was listed under coding for rehabilitation? And this is not rehabilitation, this is demolition. And I just want to make sure that's correct when we're talking about HUD and HUD monies, as you know. The coding was a question. Was that resolved and
Yes.
didn't need to be changed?
No, it doesn't have to be changed. Actually, what I read last time is matrix code definitions. And that was, I think, Councilman's, it says the matrix codes are used to indicate, but not to establish activity eligibility. So basically, the codes are something that we use internally ourselves to report back to HUD. It has nothing to do whether the project is viable, if it's doable, if it's been vetted out. That's something that we do on our own. The matrix is internal.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Appreciate the clarification.
So the confusion about whether it was part of the Good Neighbor Program that HUD advertises, that was, and it was clear it wasn't, but there was nothing wrong with the way it was submitted to begin with, correct?
Councilman Constant, there was no confusion. The name itself is something that we came up with, and in our current budget we have changed the name so there's no more misunderstanding. I'm not confused about the name.
at all.
With housing, there's probably a lot of programs that are called good.
There's
are there
tons of
mortgage
them.
programs that are good neighbors.
We've called our new item the demolition program. I'm pretty sure that if you go to the city or the state website, you might find something. It has nothing to do with us. It's just a name we came up with.
Councilman Abdullah?
So we just, Councilman Muscat, we just need to, because I have the original motion here, so I just want to make sure that, just to continue with the motion, because you mentioned in regards to accepting bids, but there was additional items on that motion, so I don't know if you want me to tell you what they are, or give you this to read?
Yes, please.
Okay, do you give me permission to read them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, in addition, we have to, I'm sorry, somebody say something? Oh, you're welcome. In addition, we are authorizing the Comptroller's Office to return all the bid bonds to all other bidders. Also, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to sign 4 copies of the signature page of the contract as outlined in item 7A on the on the February 26, 2019 agenda item.
So be it, as read.
Support. Very good job.
Thank you, Councilman Abdullah.
Attorney, yeah.
Okay, are we doing this correct, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, yes. Madam Chair,
So now
I would just,
don't we vote? We vote.
Yes, at this point. Wait.
I would just
we got-
recommend that you say that it would end up being Macmillan Group, Inc., and it's not Macmillan? I'm sorry.
No, it's a different company.
Front page, I'm sorry.
As outlined in 7A of that.
Intercity contracting,
Yes,
I'm
intercity
sorry.
contracting.
We can take our vote.
Okay. At this time, let's take a vote on this. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I oppose. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is Deputy Police Chief Petrie bid award, request for approval and return of unsuccessful bid bonds, replacement of carpet and tile in supervisor's office and roll call room.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Chief of Police, excuse me, Deputy Chief, I'm sorry, they wrote Chief of Police here. Future Chief of Police, Deputy Chief.
I just read.
Yeah. Michael Petrie, requesting the Honorable Council approval for the purchase and payment of the following: replacement of carpet and tile in the supervisor's office and in the roll call room as outlined in item 7B.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have a report from city officials. Library Director McCaffrey, Dearborn Heights Reciprocal Borrowing Agreement.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to concur with Libraries Director Michael McCaffrey and approve his request to extend the reciprocal agreement indefinitely with a 90-day out clause for either party, should the need arise, as outlined in 9A.
Support by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item, we have Tax Increment Finance Authority, which is also known as TIFA. Chairman Kellett, June 30th, 2018 TIFA Audit Report.
Council Chair.
Councilman Constant?
I move that,
Councilman Constant?
He can go ahead.
Okay, Councilman Muscat.
I move, thank you. I move City Council authorize this to be note and file as outlined in 9B.
Support.
Supported
And
by
thank-
Councilman Constant.
I'm sorry, and thank Chairman Kellett and everyone on the TIFA for all they do, the good job they do.
Okay, any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to note for the residents, if they're not familiar with the Tax Increment Finance Authority, we keep saying TIFA, the acronym. The southwest part of Dearborn Heights, that's a capture that helps our community tremendously. And that includes DPW improvements, the Van Born commercial improvements, tree trim and public safety, the purchase of a fire truck, and that also was matched with AFG grant money. But I think it's really important to note that is, again, it's not additional taxation, it's a capture of taxes. So thank you to TIFA Board and everything you do. I know we've spent some time lobbying in Lansing to try to retain that, and I think it's really important residents are aware of that.
Okay, any other discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman
I'm
Abdullah?
not sure if the chairman, John Keller, is here by any chance. Are you able to speak on his behalf? It's just a simple question that I had going through the numbers on this. One of the things that I noticed is on Public Works, this is on page 3 under expenses. We went from 327,000 to 535, which is good, but it was a 63% increase. So I'm just curious as to what additional change that we made provided by Tifa. Do you know what that is offhand? Page 3, under expenses from Public Works, which went from 327,614 to 535 in 2018.
Right, I see, yeah. The auditors kind of lump a bunch of things together, so just having this doesn't help necessarily, but we've been doing projects. We paid for the new salt dome down at the DPW, road improvements thing, so it was probably just a lumping of those larger expenses that happen kind of, once in a while they happen.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? At this point, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The Tax Increment Finance Authority report passes.
Received note and file. In action.
Received note and file, yeah. Okay, next we have under ordinances and resolutions, Mark Roberts with Seacrest Wardle, a second reading for zoning ordinance agreement H-19-02 to reclassify property as zoned multiple dwelling residential.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Odella.
I move that we concur with Council Mark Roberts with the attached copy of the ordinance amendment to amend the City Code, Chapter 36, zoning chapter of the City of Dearborn Heights to amend the zoning map and district boundaries established for parcel number 33-018-03-0249-000 from single-family residential 1 to multiple dwelling residential RM as outlined in item 11A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under new
Madam
business.
Chair?
Yes.
Can that include to be effective upon publication?
That's the first reading.
That was
that the first?
That's the first reading. I believe.
This is the second reading. So it's effective upon
We need upon publication in the official city newspaper.
This matter should be placed on a council agenda for the first reading, it says right here.
Yeah, but on
After second.
on the agenda,
Okay.
it's
All
a
right, so
second
it's second
reading, so I
reading,
assume your office did it right.
I'm sorry.
In the official agenda, it says second reading. I'm assuming your office was correct in that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, under new business, we have the business license renewal for Fairlane Eagles, number 3861, located at 20738 Van Born. Also, Mogul Trading Incorporated at 2801 South Beach Daily, and Wall Street Pub at Patio, located at 25950 Ford Road.
Go ahead, please.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat?
I move that City Council approve the business licenses for renewals for the businesses itemized in 13A.
Second.
Supported by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah?
I had some concerns. I'm not sure if DPW or maybe the clerk's office can speak in regards to this, but one of them is Fairlane Eagles, number 3861. One of the notes in here is at the present time, they are delinquent in a water bill of $2,150.84, and it must pay this amount in full before renewing your license. From what I see in front of me here, I just want to make sure what is the current status on it.
It's on the back here. Looks like they paid it, or they're on a payment plan.
I think that's it. Fairlane Eagles Club is right there.
There's a
Last
receipt.
payment was
there's the-
200.
No, right here.
No, they're paid inside.
Okay, well, because that's what you had in the front. Right, I just want to make sure, is that all paid?
They have the
Yeah,
receipt
there's
on
a
the back.
receipt on the
Okay.
back.
And then the second one, just to make sure, because yeah. Second one, just to make sure, similar situation. It said $4,400 owed on delinquent water and property taxes of $2,666. This was for the Wall Street Pub and at Patio on Ford Road. And in the back, just want to make sure, are we all, because the confusion is, we have paid receipt, but yeah, on the front it says that they have to be paid.
Yeah,
So I just want to make sure that everything is up to date. Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, we're voting on the business license renewals. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under new business, is new solicitation license for American Legion Auxiliary Carl E. Stitt, Unit 232, May 4th, 2019.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the application for solicitation license. This is for American Legion Auxiliary Carl E. Stitt Unit 232, as outlined in 13B.
Support.
Support by Councilman Wenzel. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have comments from council members. Before we begin, I'd like to wish our Secretary Lynn a happy birthday this Thursday. We do have a card for you. Thank you for everything you do. I should say. Any other comments from the
Council Chair, I
Yes.
have a few here. Okay.
My comment was going to be singing happy birthday.
I would think. Let's sing. Does everybody want to sing happy?
Yes, come on.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lynn. Happy birthday to you. How? No.
Okay, Councilman Muscat, you're
I received a phone call from a gentleman today that's been trying to get a permit to cut a tree down in his backyard. And he called me today and he was a little irate because he can't get anybody to go out there. Now, I did call DPW just to see what was going on, and they said they were going to pull the permit to look at it. But, you know, this man and his wife are afraid to sleep in their house with this big tree in their backyard that they're saying is dying very quickly. And no one should be afraid to sleep in their own home. And we need to get this done as soon as possible. And I will give that to you, not in public, but I will give that to you.
Because
after.
there is one house, I don't know if it's the same address,
It's on Catherine Street.
Yes, we've had 3 people go out, and there's a story about that one.
Well, you know, the thing is, you know, this ordinance was passed in 2011, and I don't know, there was talk in Lansing about overriding this ordinance. I don't know if it was or not, so.
Failed.
It failed?
It was not.
Okay, so, but just for the record, I was never for this type of ordinance that forced a person to have to get a permit to cut a tree down on their own private property. But in saying so, it is an ordinance, and I'll abide by it. But if someone can get a permit to cut a tree down because they want to build a garage and a tree's in their way, he should be able to cut that tree down because he fears for his life. And that's all I'm asking, is for somebody to really look at it closely and let me know what's going on. I promised I'd bring it up, so I did. Again, it's in the administration's hands, I believe, at this point in time, so you can deal with it and then let me know if possible.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
Just want to say, I spoke with the gentleman also, and I heard his frustration on the phone. But I spoke with the new director, and he did mention that he's going to be looking into that and try to clarify it.
And like I said, I did call DPW. They said they're going to pull a permit, and they'll get back with me in a day or two and let me know. But obviously, there's other situations which I don't want to get into publicly. But we're aware of it. At least we're aware of it. I'm concerned for him. He's disabled. But anyway. There's another one. The gentleman who had his basement flooded. That we asked to get repaired. How is that coming along?
Well, despite the advice of not this corporation counsel, but other corporation counsel, and I felt the same way for the gentleman. So with the assistance of Mike Blackburn in particular, we had the home cleaned. We actually put him up in a local motel for 5 days while Belfour cleaned the particular site because the smell and the odor were significant. Where we're at right now is that he is looking for a replacement, and there was a lot of question that the city should not get involved in the details, but we went ahead and cleaned it, and I think that was the right thing to do, and we got it done real quickly. For replacement of items, that really needs to be better argued between Lanzo and Beecham, and he's a very nice gentleman, and I explained that to him, and I also called the new DPW director to inform him of the situation and to see if he could put some pressure on the contractor to get this resolved. I would certainly call, I do not have a relationship with this particular contractor, so, but as a mayor, I'm more than willing to call on his behalf. I also told him that we would back him up, and for any court action or anything that he takes, we'll be on his corner and in his team. But there's a lot of difficulty, and because of the fact that these items, like we do if we were found at fault in a flooding issue, and we really don't want to get in all the details, but if you have a washer and dryer and it's 20 years old, we're not going to replace it for a brand new one. It gets depreciated, and you start getting into these questions on the stuff that was damaged in his home, and I think that's better off if Lanzo, their insurance company, and Mr. Beecham work that out.
I agree. I think the best part is we made it livable again for
yes.
him to get back in there. As far as replacing the items in the basement, they're not like their bedroom set or something where they need to sleep on it. It was the basement. So I would, you know, as long as they're made whole again as far as being able to go back in their house.
And I bought because we're closed over the weekend, we put his family up for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we paid for 4 at a motel at Michigan Avenue and Telegraph, and he's been very nice, very appreciative. I talked to him again yesterday, but Mr. Roberts was the one that directed me that, and I agree, because I did not see all the details. I saw some pictures of it. Mr. Blackburn was there. We talked about it, but washer, dryers, furniture, and that kind of stuff.
Between the insurance companies.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah, I
fine, but
think the rest needs to be taken
I just
care
wanted
with
to get
insurance.
an update on that, and I got 2 other items,
Council
please.
Chair, I'd
real
like to
quick.
piggyback on that real quick. I just want to let everyone know, we're not doing this guy a favor by putting him up in a hotel and cleaning up his house. It wasn't his fault. And we're just doing what's right, and to compensate a little bit for something for his inconvenience, just to make him whole for what he lost and put him up in a hotel, it's not fair. I think we should go above and beyond that. The monies are in this fund that we're holding money back from the pipeline company that made the error. And I mean, just to put him up in a hotel and clean his house and say, okay, you're good, I mean, it is a major inconvenience for this family. I think we should do something different than a little bit more than just clean his house and put him in a hotel.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
It was brought to my attention that there's people getting their water bills up to 3 billing periods with the exact same amount of money, and yet the bills are saying that they're actual readings. How is that possible on three billing periods? I mean, you'd have to use the exact same amount of water for 9 months. I can't see, how is that happening? Does anybody can figure that out?
Minimum bill?
Pardon?
Is it a minimum bill?
No.
No, people are living in a home.
I would say that if they come in and show us, or I don't need the bills, we can look those up in the records, but we'd be more than happy to read. It is on occasion when, I don't know if we've had estimated bills. That used to be done very often, but I don't think we're doing that currently. I thought we were all caught up. Am I mistaken?
I don't think there's estimates that I know of, but I don't.
Yeah,
because they're saying it's actual. It says A on it, which is actual.
Yeah.
But I can't see how they can be the same billing three periods.
If they
in a
come
row.
in, we'd be more than happy to look at it. That is a strange coincidence. If it was a minimum bill, I would say specific, but we'd have to look at the billing and see when the reads and things, and we'd be more than happy to do it. People come in all the time, challenge the water bill, and the employees try to answer their questions.
And one more.
Okay.
The ordinance that was written H-18-07 for the marking of the cars was passed on 12/18. It's come to my attention that that has not been signed yet. And I was wondering why it's not signed and where we stand on the marking of those vehicles.
Well, number one is I have a legal question that I have talked to Mr. Miyake, and he has suggested that I talk to one of the other attorneys, and I will not sign it until that question is answered. We have continued to make progress, and as I go through the budget hearings, I'll find out. I mentioned it
Is there a question
every.
that you can ask me tell me what it is?
I'll be more than happy after the meeting.
Why can't we make it public? I mean, it is a public ordinance that this body passed. I mean, it is an ordinance right now. So right now, without that ordinance, I mean, the ordinance has been published.
Yes.
So it is a ordinance.
Yes.
And so the ordinance is being violated, correct? Mr. Miyake, the ordinance is being violated. It's a yes or no answer. This is not a trick question.
No, if it hasn't been filed, the question the mayor raised. The question that the mayor raised is one of his authority as the mayor not to have to follow particular directions. The point is that because I was involved in the drafting of the ordinance, actually drafted it.
And I understand.
I cannot end up answering that question for him any more than if he was to have any sort of legal proceeding involving the council, that I could end up actually representing any side to it. This is the one point where there is a conflict of interest that can arise, not from the general nature of my duties, which some people have implied incorrectly, but when I have ended up being involved in the actual drafting of an ordinance or some other action, I can't do something that would be inconsistent with whether or not that would end up being a valid ordinance.
So for being polite, I will talk to you about this either via email or we can come into the office and talk about it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm just.
And we'll do that. We'll leave it at that to this point, so we can carry on. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments from the council table at this?
Madam Chair? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just.
Order, is that a public, is that a?
I just want to make a comment.
Okay.
Basically, I've just listened to a side conversation with this legal counsel and the mayor, and it sounds a lot like some sort of corrupt process is going on. I've got a question, and that is, and this is to follow up Mr.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Muscat's question, and that is.
There is no corrupt process.
And I'd like to hear that.
Okay. Well.
If it's illegal, but I believe it's a legal matter, then we're not going to divulge it because it's a legal matter.
If it's a legal matter.
It needs to be said that way, sir.
Okay, I believe it's going to be a legal matter. That's, you know, the corporation council wrote an ordinance. He obviously can't give opinion on it, so it becomes a legal matter between another attorney-client privilege.
Okay, at this point, let's move on.
But I appreciate it.
Okay.
I appreciate
Point of
it.
order at this point. Let's continue on with comments from council members right now. Then we have public announcements.
The mayor will speak.
Yeah, what I'd like to, there is a difficulty in the traffic patterns at both Crestwood High School and Riverside Middle School. I talked to the superintendent today, and we have decided that we're going to have our police department, so the chief will designate individuals, Crestwood School is going to designate individuals, and it's the superintendent and my wish that we come to some kind of solution to solve the difficulty and the problems with the traffic patterns at those two locations. So I wanted to announce that, and the two governmental entities will work together to try to come up with a solution.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That's good to hear. Any other? Councilman Wenzel?
There's been a lot of discussion today at a previous this study session about the golf course, and as council members, we don't know what's going on there business-wise. So now that the meeting is not over with yet, I would like to make a motion that the council direct the administration to supply council with a monthly spreadsheet of operations, the ins and outs, monies for the banquet facilities, the golf pro shop, all the bar, everything like that, because we got to make decisions. We don't know if any money's coming in at all. We have no idea how much money's coming in, or what kind of situation.
Support the motion.
Okay, supported by Councilman Muscat.
Just in fairness, I think that information, I'll request it from ONADA, but we are not receiving, I'm not receiving any kind of reports right now. Quite frankly, the place has been pretty much closed. But that information will need to come from ONADA, not from my office, because the relationship we have is we're entitled to, under the agreement, a sum of money, and that will come in. We would want to have additional reporting, and we'll set something up, but you ought to direct to get that information from ONADA, because I can't, these people are not under my control that I can sit there and order it.
Well, if it couldn't come from us, it should come from you. I mean,
I guess we can direct you to ask them to supply.
That's sufficient, but just so you understand, I'm not going to withhold anything. I just don't, we're in early discussions of talking with Eric over there about some kind of reporting, and we want the same information that you're requesting, and I will do that. But it may take a few days to set something up, and the change in the language, because it's not that I'm not going to provide it, I just don't have the accounting, I can't, that I can direct his accountants to give me that. So just so you understand.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Costa?
Yeah, and we had a meeting over there and we discussed, as I'm sure Councilman Wenzel knows.
It wasn't a meeting.
It wasn't a meeting.
Right, because that would be a violation of the open meeting act.
It's the same operator that operated it for Wayne County. He's got a big incentive now to book weddings and golf outings and so forth. But the facility is open for business, same operator. What the city's relationship is going to be with him or with any other operators, that's still up for discussion. But the facility is open, and then what he does accounting-wise, I don't know if that's available to us or not.
It should be, because we're the owner.
Yes, yeah. There's a motion, and
it was supported. Okay. The motion is to direct the mayor to request financial records from the golf course on a monthly basis. Am I getting this correct?
Yes.
Okay, are we doing this properly, Mr. Clerk? Okay.
And it was seconded.
And it was supported by Councilman Muscat. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make another announcement, echo off of Councilman Constant. The golf course and banquet facilities is open, and accepting reservations for weddings, baby showers, anything like that. They are open and ready for business. So give them a call.
And the food is good.
Okay. Any other comments from council members? Mr. Clerk?
Madam Chair, we just need a housekeeping item regarding 9A, the Dearborn Heights Reciprocal Borrowing Agreement.
Okay.
There's a contract page which requires the signature of both the mayor and myself, and it was not in the motion, nor is it on the cover page. So if we could get that motion amended to reflect, to authorize.
Motion 9A is Library Director McCaffrey, Dearborn Heights Reciprocal Borrowing Agreement.
Yes, Madam Chair. So I made the motion, so I would amend that motion to include the signatures.
Of the mayor and clerk.
Support. What about Councilman Muscat? Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it.
Thank you,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Not a problem, thank you. Next, any other comments from council members? We will move on to public announcements in our community.
Hello, Council Chair and Mayor. Just wanted to bring up a couple of quick items. First off, Tuesday, March 19th at Carrollton County Library, we will be learning about the DIA Diego Rivera murals. I'll learn the intriguing story behind the 27-panel fresco mural created during the Depression that made the museum a National Historic Landmark. Next, Monday, March 25th at 7 p.m. at Carrollton County Library, we will be reviewing some Mexican cooking. Join culinary instructor Mary Spencer, who will give an introduction to Mexican cooking and demonstrate how to make Mexican street corn dip, fiesta casserole, and Trelicious cake. Hope I got that pronounced. You think?
Sounds good.
I'm way off. Samples and recipes will be provided. Registration appreciated. Call 313-791-3800. That's all for now. Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements on public events or happening in our city right now? Okay, at this point, we will open it up to 14C, which comes...
Sorry.
It's not, it was for like library and community announcements. Now I will open it up to public announcements. I ask that you state your name, address, and limit it to 3 minutes, please.
My name is Najah, and I live on Whitefield Street.
I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Najah. Okay. I understand, Mr. Mayor, you said you spoke with the superintendent today. I think for me, it's kind of beyond me that it took myself. I was at the school board meeting yesterday. That it's taken parents like myself going to a school board meeting for you guys to finally come up with a plan. I don't know what the plan actually is, as opposed to having police officers, which I have police officers in the family, have the most respect for them. But besides having police officers at our schools handing out tickets to parents who have absolutely no options. We have no options when dropping off our kids. So instead of having officers posted at these schools to direct traffic and make sure our kids are safe, as opposed to pulling parents over and then having their cars sticking out in the middle of the road, which I have pictures of the police officer this morning who pulled over a parent, and now I have to go around this car, the police officer's car, block traffic that's trying, all they're doing is creating more chaos, more safety concerns for our kids, and it just took you guys today to talk about this. I understand that you asked for a traffic study or a study from the superintendent, and Ms. Berry they were discussing it yesterday, and the superintendent said she did not get that back to you guys. Like, where's the communication? As somebody who lives in the city, and has children in the district, our city is nothing without schools. Like, you cannot have a good city without having a good school district. People move here or move to any city based on where their kids are going to go to school. It's not safe. Our kids are not safe getting, just the simple thing of getting out of the car. I understand that this is a completely, like, the issue of having too many cars. We have a lot of students. But why are our officers there just handing out tickets as opposed to, I mean, they are present. Their presence is there. So why are they not helping to direct traffic so that our kids can be safe when getting out of the cars?
I will let the police chief address that. One of the things is that we had met over a year ago with the superintendent and some of the school board members at Warren Valley, and we were told that the school district was paying for a study, a parking and traffic study.
Right, which they said they did.
But we never received the results.
Right.
And I was told today that they felt the recommendations were too expensive.
That's the reason. Okay, so
that
we were told yesterday at the meeting was that there was no real solution to the problem. So it's not that there isn't a solution, the solution just is too expensive, but our school board can build $1 million office to house themselves.
Yeah, I'm not going to address that, but
I want, because I know more people watch this than our school board meeting, so.
And I graduated from school, it was a long time ago there, but the traffic pattern has not changed except for more people now use the thing. I mentioned today to the chief that we got that Horseshoe Drive, why can't we stack the cars on the Horseshoe Drive?
They don't allow it. The cops are there, the police, they don't allow it. Then they pull you over for doing that.
Okay, well, the chief, I'll let him address it, but we're trying to get to a solution.
I'm gonna call this officer out by name because he not only gave me a ticket, but Mr. Gondik, Mr. Officer Gondik.
I don't think it's appropriate to blame him.
No. When I'm pulling up, and I'm at Highview Elementary, so you're only talking about Crestwood High School and Riverside. Highview, every one of our elementary schools is an issue. Every school is an issue. Highview has nowhere, you have nowhere to park. You have nowhere to pull into. Their parking lot is strictly for the school bus and the teacher's lot. So you literally have the front of the school and side streets.
Okay, at this time, let's let the chief answer that.
I will, but I have to say this, because if I'm waiting for a car to pull out, which Mr. Gondik gave me a ticket for impeding traffic, how am I gonna park if I don't stop to let the car leave?
That's what badges.
How?
Chair.
Okay, let's let the chief please answer this.
This gentleman is being disruptive.
Okay, sir.
I'll be quiet.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Which question?
In regards...
It sounds like that the task force needs to include all schools in the Crestwood School District.
They're there, but they're just pulling cars over. They're not directing traffic. They are literally...
Complaints about Sergeant Gondak.
No, in general.
No, hang on.
Let the chief talk, okay? Let the chief talk.
I reviewed his tickets, and it's when people are letting children out of the car to cut between cars.
Okay.
And it's on video.
Okay.
If there's an issue, there's a resolution for that. You take it to court. And that's what's resolved.
Oh, don't worry, my ticket got resolved. It was dismissed. I'm not concerned about my particular ticket. I'm talking about the police officers are there. They should be directing traffic, not handing out tickets. Not handing out tickets.
Sir.
My position is, there's cars backing up on each of these main thoroughfares, which are causing other issues. There's people coming out.
From where? I'm talking about Highview. First and foremost, I'm talking about Highview Elementary School.
Sure.
There's no backing out. But I'm talking about Highview.
Okay.
Crestwood, I use Canfield, which even still is not a complete solution to the problem. I'm not talking.
You said you'd get a ticket on Canfield.
No, I never said Canfield.
That's the old Circle Drive?
No, I said there is no Circle Drive at Highview. There's just, you park in front. There's a circular drive is used for the buses.
We're talking apples, oranges, and grapes.
Okay.
Okay, at this point, I don't think you're going to get
Set up the task force.
Madam Chair.
Identify the problems, give some solutions, and see where we go from there.
Right. The problem is there's not enough space for the parents. The parents are 100% going to break the law because they have no options.
The parents are breaking the law.
They have no options.
And we're there to enforce it.
Okay, Councilman Abdullah.
But that's very unfair.
Councilman Abdullah.
If you know I'm going to drop my student off and I'm going to break the law, so I'm going to give you a ticket, you're not there to protect our kids then. You're only there to pass out a ticket.
Okay.
Only.
Okay, time is up.
Only there.
No, sorry.
Okay. Should I show you the picture of the officer's car that was sticking out? Should I show you the
Okay,
picture?
at this point, let's get a point of order. Let's move on. Councilman Abdullah has the floor right now.
No, please. The kids are safe.
No.
Exiting the cars at Crestwood and Riverside, where they're designated to exit.
Okay.
Anywhere else in that.
So I'm going to show you the picture after the meeting.
Property per se.
Okay.
They're in the street, they're
Just so
not-
you know, our school board
Councilman
agrees that they're not safe.
We've got Councilman Abdullah now, please.
So this is pretty much for the chief and maybe for the mayor. Hearing all this, and I've had some calls, I've had, complaints from different parents saying, why are we getting tickets? We can't get in, we can't get out. My kids have been out of school for a long time, so I'm not personally involved with it. But I've had different parents call me on this, and I've seen it myself driving, especially on Beach Daily at Crestwood. There's definitely a situation there, a condition, a problem, you call it whatever you want to call it, but we got to definitely deal with it. And I know that in the little tour that we did of the golf course, one of the suggestions, I don't know if it's okay to mention it, was a possibility of the back parking lot of the golf course maybe possibly being used on that particular school on Riverside. But I just want to suggest, with this task force, which I'm always for, sitting down, having all parties there, discussing it, come up with a solution and move on, I would highly suggest that maybe we have parents also involved, because, you know, I mean, we're there to protect, of course, the kids, but the kids aren't going to be there to be able to speak. Maybe have some parent representatives in that particular meeting so that we can help resolve this matter, because I think just the school board and the police department alone is not going to be enough. You need to have some input from the parents, because for me, that's who calls me and complains all the time, to help, you know,
Into like a town hall meeting of some kind.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
I'm
think
not
it's a town hall
against the
meeting.
cops. I'm not against the cops. Like I said, I have family members, but it's, when parents are very limited, nobody wants to go to drop off their child at school. Nobody wants their child to get hurt. Nobody wants to get a ticket. Plain and simple. But you literally, especially in front of Highview, Riverside, I use the golf course as well to drop off, but then parents are making 3 rows to drop off their kids because nobody wants to wait in one line, so then their kids are cutting across 2 other lanes of cars to get into the, to
Well,
get
I
in
think
front of
part of the situation is, too, you almost need to treat it like dropping them off at the airport where they get out of the car and go. You know, some of the parents take time.
But like as a parent said yesterday at the meeting, it's almost like he's trying to evade the police, and he's just literally throwing his child out of the car saying, I don't want to kiss you, just get out. Because you don't want to get a ticket. Your options are so
But
limited.
to be fair, if I could just make quick, just to be fair, you know, I've had some discussions with different members in the community. You know, a lot of these schools were originally built in the 50s and 60s.
I know.
Where you had 1 car per block.
So what do we
if
do?
you were lucky. No, I know.
What do we do?
I'm just saying they're not designed
I know.
for a 2-3 car,
Especially
you know, per home
Highview,
family.
especially the elementary schools. I
Right,
completely
but I
understand.
think the, you know, the administration and the school board is taking the right initiative to say, hey, let's sit down and meet. All I'm saying personally, I really believe that parents should also be involved. Maybe like the council chair mentioned, maybe either a town hall meeting, although the only problem with those sometimes ends up being everybody yelling and screaming, nothing gets resolved. Maybe a smaller committee, you know, with representatives of the police, of the parents, being there to be able to put in their input, I think would help solve
Well, you know, part of the thing, too, is I grew up in Dearborn Heights. When I was in elementary school, some of the mothers didn't even drive. I walked to school every day.
Right.
I walked to
And unfortunately,
from.
times have changed, so what do we do? Like, I would love to see the cops there,
We need
the police
to
officers
readdress
there,
it.
and parents there, but we have one elderly crossing guard at Highview, and he can't do anything. Sometimes, you know...
Okay.
It's just...
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton has a remark.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So there's a lot of conversation here, but I think there's a really way just to put this concise. You know, I've dealt with, you know, the schools and dropping my child off, picking up. I know what it's like. I've seen it for years. For years, this has been a problem for us. And it is because people are driving their children to school. There's, you know, an increase in population, things of that nature, whatever. But the bottom line is, you need to bring all the stakeholders to the table. You need to have the city administration, you need to have the school district, the school board, you need to have the parents, you need to have the police involved. They all need to communicate at a roundtable discussion. It needs to be a public forum. Okay, your parents need input. They need to have buy-in. It's about safety of the students before somebody else gets hurt, because they've already had accidents there. And then once you come to a conclusion and have an action plan drawn up, have a timeline to get it executed and a plan to do so, and how do you fund it? And then make sure you do the outreach, education outreach, so the residents and your parents know what to do.
My thing
Well, at this time,
I know,
we have a 3-minute limit. You went
the
well over, so we've
officers
got
are
to
there
stop at this
anyways.
point.
The officers are there anyway, so the funding is
Okay,
not a
thank
matter
you.
of...
Thank you.
They're there.
Thank you. Any other? State your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
There's a lot, so I'll be concise. My name is David Kaufman. I live at 5731 Kingsbury Street. It's about 2 blocks from here. And Councilmember Muscat put it best earlier. No one should feel afraid in their own house. And we do. We are moving from here because we are afraid in part of the Dearborn Heights Police Department. In the 2 years that my partner and I have lived here, we've been sexually assaulted twice. We have been gay bashed. You cannot, in this area, count on law enforcement. When I tried to raise this with the mayor, his response from his office and from him was, well, we employ gay people, so we're not homophobic. You got your kid. You know what? I spend some of my time, since I'm waiting for a heart transplant and I'm HIV positive and basically stuck at home. The police won't come to you if there's a problem. You have to go to them. This police chief needs to be fired. the amount of corruption, I've already had one of his cops tell me that the Constitution does not apply in Dearborn Heights. That was a sergeant who said it in front of my partner and in front of another officer. And when I filed complaints about it, they all go into a giant vat within that police department. With no civilian, I was a judge in Seattle for 5 years. And you know what? We moved here to Michigan in part because I am considered one of the top 10 or 15 experts in water law on the planet. I hold a JD, an LLM, and a PhD, all in law, all in international water law. But I have lived on 4 continents, but I won't live where my partner and I are unsafe. I won't. And it's unsafe. Your police department pays so little attention and is running such a police state here that you've got kids as young as 13 and 14 years old that are on the gay apps looking for sex. And there's a whole bunch of nasty men around that will just take advantage of them. Your kids are not safe in this community with the police department. I've turned over now 2 police officers from the Dearborn Heights Police Department because after I got sexually assaulted the second time, I called and filed a complaint because the person that sexually assaulted me sent me a threatening text message. That officer, I had to pull hard nails to even get them to come to the house. And then I had to, basically work my way through the system. And then the Dearborn Heights Police Department wouldn't cooperate with the Detroit Police Department. Do you guys get rid of the corruption that are within your cops, the homophobia that your mayor seems to exhibit? Okay. I lived in Lagos, Nigeria, and felt safer in our own home.
Thank you very much.
And if you want to hear more from me, I'll say one last thing and go. I called all of you, every single one of you. I got a phone call of extensive nature back from Mr. Abdallah, and that was it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can let that happen and walk away.
Would you like to come up to the podium, please? Thank
3
you.
minutes, please. I was restricted.
Yes.
Well, I'm responding to all his complaints about none of his reports being investigated. Every report that was filed was investigated. He was sent to the mayor's office to make a complaint. He received a complaint notice from the mayor's office. He tore it up in front of the mayor and stormed out. So we also have some of his calls recorded in which he...
Point of order.
In which I'm referring to. So we do have documentation that his complaints were investigated. There are no corrupt cops. Every complaint that he's made, we went as far as to put periodic checks on the street because he had an issue with the business down the street.
Yes.
So everything he said is inaccurate.
Thank you.
And I'm not going to stand for it, and he should probably apologize.
Okay.
I will accept apologize.
Okay, at this point, you've
I
had
will
your
accept
3
an
minutes, so we're
apology
done
right
there.
I mean, can I respond?
No, you can't.
One topic, and that is about Rosenau Power Sports. That's right.
No.
It was about all your complaints.
Point of order.
Thank you. We're done.
Thank you.
I've said my bit.
Thank you.
I don't have any respect for this council. Thank you. Let's go.
Thank you.
None. FBI, buddy. FBI. You too. No apology either. The apology needs to come back.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other name, address, and your 3 minutes, please.
My name is Ed Frolick. I reside on Robindale. My thing is about my fence in the backyard.
And we do have our new director there. You might want to talk to him after the meeting.
Yeah, but I got a call from Dave Borowski, or Brooks, or... Dan Brooks.
Dan Brooks right there in the back.
Well, anyway, I got a call, and he said that my back, falling in the dirt, it could be on me or on the neighbor, and that I should get a plumber to get the thing. There was, from the city, person came out before this, and before they took the light, the sewer, and he said that, what he called it, that's on the neighbor because he saw the water bubbling on the neighbor's side. When they built that house, they took about 4 feet of the alley easement, okay? I signed that paper because he was, the guy that was Muhammad, or whatever his name is, he said that if I don't sign it, I was going to go to court. and I signed off because I didn't want to have no problems, okay? But if 4 feet was taken of that alley easement, then that sewer is on his side. I never had no problem with the sewer before, and all of a sudden, when this house gets built, I got a problem. What I'm saying is this: don't take care of my problem, because the thing is sinking, okay? If my granddaughter comes out there, and sometimes, you know, in the summertime, she's gonna run around in that, and she's really fast, she'll go right out the backyard, okay? And she gets hurt, you're gonna have a problem with me, okay? Because this is uncalled for, and I want it taken care of. And don't say it's on me, because it's on the person next door. The thing should have been, when you got a fence straight like this, and then all of a sudden it dips like that, that should not be allowed. Everything, when I built my house, everything was level. This is not level back there, okay? So they need to be addressed, and I hope I hope the mayor sticks his nose in there and does something about it.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Come up to the microphone, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name's Barry Paxton, 3922 Vassar. I've been notified that DTE's coming through my street and replacing the gas lines and replacing the gas meters. My concern is a tree that's on 3914 Vassar, my neighbor. That tree was planted in 1967 after a storm. Now this tree has a girth that's bigger if 3 people held their hands and tried to go around it. The trunks are over top of the houses. So my concern is when they come through there, put that gas line down through there, and they go through the root ball. You know, if we have a bad storm and that root ball comes up, it's going to tear up that gas line. I would like to see somebody come out, either because of the age of that tree and the size of it, maybe have that either trimmed down to a manageable level or have it removed. I prefer to have it removed because I'm worried about that root ball when that tree comes down, tearing up that gas line.
What's the address again, Barry?
It'll be 3914. Is it a
Vassar?
Vassar.
Okay.
It's my neighbor's tree.
Okay, I'll have somebody look at it tomorrow.
I'm at 3922 next door.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Just, you know, when they replace these gas meters, I don't know if they're replacing the gas line. I know they're replacing the gas meters.
No, they're coming through. They'll be tearing up the city easement to drive this yellow pipe through.
That's a different story, but usually when they just replace the gas meters, they do directional boring from the driveway to the house. But if they're gonna, if you see it, all that stuff, then
Coming
that's a
down the
different story.
street and into the houses and relocating the gas meters.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other public comment?
Good evening, everybody. Zuhair Abdelhaq.
Go ahead.
Madam, I would like to ask you if you let me go probably over the 3 minutes, just a little bit. I try not to, but because I have 2 issues. First, I just want to say something about Crestwood, the traffic, and the other schools. Councilman Muscat has suggested to the Board of Education that they do some study to put light at the entrance of Crestwood, and maybe the same at Riverside. And I don't think anybody talked to anybody, either the administration or the Crestwood Board. But I'm happy that the mayor is talking to the board now to solve this, because last week there was an accident, a woman almost got killed. in front of Crestwood. So those are our kids. The priority of our police is to the safety of our kids before they give tickets and go pay $140 impeding the traffic. If somebody made a mistake, hit them with points, they will never do it again. But to collect $140, you are just encouraging people to do it again and again. So I hope this practice will stop. Second thing, I want to clarify something. There is lots of talk about what Councilman Muscat and I said about the PEG. Ray Muscat and I never accused the administration or anybody in the city of stealing money or anything else. We said by words it was misallocated, misused, and I stand by those words. It was all over the news, and it was in the newspapers, and some of us called us some names which I don't want to recall them. But I did my homework. The mayor handed me an opinion last time without even signature on it on the 26th of February that it allows him to use the money for salaries. There was not even one word in that opinion said salary. Not word in any 2 pages mentioned as salary. I went to a neighboring city, Radford. They have the same problem. They went to one of the most prestigious law firms in the nation, 55 partners in this law firm. And it is a clear cut that the salaries cannot be paid. And this money, it's to be used, video production, streaming equipment, computer technology, TV monitor technology, vehicle for broadcasting and or transport, renovation and construction of facilities, and office furniture. There is nothing whatsoever, and this was upheld by federal court. It's not just an opinion. And I would love to hear from our city legal department, what is your opinion about this? I haven't heard from you, Mr. Mayatki, one word, if this allowed or not.
Well, in general, I would defer, thank you, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I would defer to Mr. Lato. Mr. Lato actually addresses the case in his opinion that is referred to in Mr. Clark's opinion, which is a 2008 case. So a lot happens in 11 years. My sense would be if Mr. Lato could address what Mr. Clark wrote to Mr. Don Wood, who is the township superintendent, although I think his opinion already kind of addresses that, and I think Mr. Lato would probably be able to give, and this is with no disrespect to Gianmarco Mullins and Horton. I've litigated against them many times, but I would have a tendency to believe that Mr. Lato, who's an expert in this area, would be able to give a more authoritative opinion, and I think he kind of did when I read it over, but my sense is that the mayor should share this opinion from Mr. Clark with Mr. Lato to get his input.
Okay. I did research lots of cases. I went on the internet. I asked some lawyers. Until today, there isn't one place they use this PEG for salary. And that's why I'm going to ask this honorable council to take back the $1.395 million which was paid as salaries and put it back in the fund for PEG, because this is our money. We paid it on our bill. It was used for cash flow, and I stand by that word. And in the near future, you're going to see lots of similar things on the Act 345, on the health care and other things, which I believe it will amount to close to $7 million, which was overcharged to the public, and I stand by my words, and I will bring the document and the numbers to this honorable body.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, at this time, do I hear a motion to end our meeting?
Move to adjourn.
Support.
Support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.